So to quickly recapitulate this idea, if what brings hate from a potential state to a real state, before we have a chance to overcome it, is speech. So the remedy then would be not to speak badly, to guard ourselves from lashon hara, from evil speech. In general, so how do we prevent that? Why do people say things and we all do? And what happens? Oh, you shouldn't. That's not a nice thing to say. There tend to be two answers to that, how people rationalize it, but it's true. Lashon hara is by definition true. It is actually the true negative things that we are told by the Torah to leave unspoken. Those we want to foster the positive of the people. That is fostered and nurtured by spending the good. Lying about people, that's beyond the pale. That's called motzi shemra. That is not called lashon hara. Lashon hara is true, so it being true is not a justification. But people say, look, we're only talking. This idea is brought in the Rambam. It's only words, but in fact the Torah says chaim u'mavet biyad halashon, that life and death is in the hand of the tongue. So the antidote towards speaking evil is the appreciation of the power of speech. Now let us come back to Moshe. What did he do? He was told to speak to the rock. This was a moment where the whole nation was watching. God felt this would be the defining moment where Moses, the great leader, would teach everyone once and for all the power of speech. Speak to the rock, the water will come out. That didn't happen. There was various reasons for that. In the end, he ended up hitting the rock. What is hitting? That is not speech. That is action. People know the power of action. We know that action matters. We are lacking in the appreciation that speech matters. And so, that is why it was such a serious offense. That moment was lost, and so people, it was feared, would not be sufficiently careful with speech. This would lead to hatred between people. There is the risk, and indeed this happened, that there would be another exile, and hence Moses was fated to remain behind in the desert. Now what happens right after that episode is they need to travel onwards, and they need to pass through kingdoms of Sichon and Amori, and they request peaceful passageway. This is denied to them. Even then there was hostility towards the people of Israel, and hence, according to the rules, both in the Torah and in engagement in that civilization, since they were denied peaceful passageway, they passed anyway. They were attacked, and they fought and defeated Sichon and Amori, and they actually ended up conquering those lands as well. Now, these victories, of course, became known, and as they approached Moab, the Moabite king Balak is also afraid that he will also be conquered by the mighty Israel, recently freed from Egypt, having defeated the Amalekites. Now they defeated Sichon, they then went on to defeat Amori, and so on. And hence he wants to defeat Israel, and now we come back to the same idea of the power of speech. This is explained by Rashi, the great commentator. He knew or felt that he was not going to succeed in defeating the Jewish people through military means, because that had failed even with these mighty kings of Sichon and Amori. And hence, he said, what is the secret and where is the power of the Jewish people? The inherent power, because their military power is a function of their divine protection, which is brought about through Torah study and prayer, through words. The might of Israel is in the spoken word. This is what Balak, the king of Moab, wisely discerned. When we go back, this is, in a sense, metaphorically described in the verse that says, the hands are the hands of Esau, the voice is the voice of Jacob. The might of Esau in the other nations of the world may be in the hand and the sword. The might of Jacob is in the voice. So Moab decided he needed to defeat Israel on its own terms, and he needed to find someone who also had the power of speech. And this was the prophet, the pagan prophet, Bilam in Hebrew. Sometimes it's written as Balaam in English. I don't know how it is in Slovak. And he was hired to curse the Jewish people. We're not going to try to beat them with the sword. We're going to curse them. Now, this is not an easy thing to do. Surely Balak must have realized that if they had divine protection through speech, then this divine protection can protect it not only from military action, but from others' speech as well. Why would Bilam succeed with speech where others failed with the sword? And the answer is also explained in Rashi that just as our virtues grant us divine protection, so too our sins can make us vulnerable. And since Ein Tzadik Ba'aretz, no one is perfect, the idea is someone who is able to find and focus on our failings, and especially, as Rashi explains, through his prophetic and occult abilities, Bilam knew when these moments of vulnerability were, and those were the times that he would then choose to curse the Jewish people, bring a klala, a curse onto them. And this happens, and I think we know the story, but it's an incredible story. Bilam is a complicated figure. He himself knows and says to the king of Balak, his customer, so to speak, that the Jews can only be cursed when God desires it. Can he kind of plug into this power and figure out when a good time to do that is? Perhaps he can try, but ultimately only if God wants it. Indeed, what happens, God tries to dissuade Bilam from cursing them. But he does tell him, if you do speak only the words which I put in your mouth. And then these incredible episodes occur where he opens his mouth to curse. Instead, out comes blessings. And those beautiful blessings in the Torah, most famous of which we have the great song, Ma Tovu Ohelech Yaakov, which we all know how good are your tents, Jacob, and your dwelling places, Israel, with all the beautiful melodies historically that have gone along with that, is from the blessing of Bilam. What he wanted to say, we can only guess. The Gemara Sanhedrin actually tries to figure out what kind of curses did this guy want to say. We've got these wonderful blessings. The blessings come about with the transformation of the curse. And so the key leitmotif of the Parsha of Balak is transformation, the transformation of the negative to positive, and how happens through the power of speech. And the most sublime of the predictions, as most of the commentaries explain, that several of the blessings refer to the future times, the ultimate redemption of the Jewish people. Could this not be, in a sense, of the Khatam Sofer explanation, throwing back to what happened in the previous Parsha, that because Bilam's potential harm to Jews is because of realizing the power of speech, and then this being transformed to blessing also through speech, and this empowers all of us to use positive speech. This positive speech then brings about positive feelings, and we've achieved the selfless love of others, then indeed the misdeed and negative attribute of baseless hatred can be undone, and according to the Talmud, that is when Mashiach can again come, and we can all go together to the land of Israel, to the city of Jerusalem, and to the Holy Temple with joy and song. Shabbat Shalom.